even if it's optional, it's printed onto the card, so it's its color identity. Playcraft or Nature's Play, each person sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, and each person who can't discard the card. Soul Servitude, target player sacrifices a non-token creature. When they do, you can discard a card and make a copy of it, and then you can play the copy for any types of mana. Reclamation Phase, when it enters the battlefield, it pops target artifact or enchantment since it's the greater. Flash and Bomber on similar, since he's a 3/4, you gotta pay 1 to sacrifice him, and he pops target artifact or enchantment. Mortify pops a creature or enchantment at instance speed for 3 mana. Necropanther mutates, and then whenever a creature mutates, you pick up 3 mana value creature or less from your graveyard and place it straight on the battlefield. Grandma is a 3/3 because he enters with 3 1/1 counters. So in 1/1 counters, this is really good. But he basically has 2 lives because he enters as a 3/3, and then if he dies as a 3/3, he makes a 3/3. So Maelstrom Halls, you pop target non-land permanent, and each permanent that has the same name as that permanent. Putrefy is just like Mortify, except it's artifacts and creatures. It's green instead of white. And then Knight of Autumn, she's mobile. When she comes into play, she's 1 of 3. You can put 2 1/1 counters on her, make her a 4/3. She pops artifact or enchantment, or you gain 4 life. She's just a really nice card. It's one of my favorite rares in that set. Cobwarded has mutate, he's a lifelink 3/5, and then when he mutates, you make 2 1/1 cats with a lifelink. So he's pretty good. I mean, he's here because he's a mutator. You want a few of these. Batter Dark Destroyer is Dirge Bat, and he can mutate for 6. His mutate's really expensive. He's got Flash and Flying. Then when he mutates, he pops target creature or planeswalker. Again, it's gotta be one of them opponent controls, so you can't target your own thing. You never really would in this type of situation, but Epica Draco Lich has Flash and Flying. He enters the battlefield with normally called Gem Razor. Migratory Greathorn has mutate for 3. Then when he mutates, you can look for a basic land, put it in the play tap, and then shuffle. With Silver Bellhaunt, this is an oldie but a goodie. When he enters play, each opponent discards a card and you gain 3 life. He's really hard to cast though, so that's why you don't really play him too much anymore. Because he's too white and too black. He's extremely hard to cast. Binding the Old Gods is a saga. When it enters play, it pops the target non-land permanent opponent controls. And then you search your library for a forest card and put it in play tap, and then each creature gains death touch for a damage turn. Boneyard Lurker is a mutator. When he mutates, you can pick up permanent from your graveyard, put it back in your hand. Mortality Spear pops a non-land permanent. If you gain life, it costs 2 less. Hawkranos Unchained enters with 6 1/1 counters on it. If you would take damage, you remove 1/1 counters from him instead. So that sounds things like death touch and lifelink, just fun fact. And then you can pay 3, and you can fight things, and you can escape, and comes out as a 12/12 for 6 mana. And he escapes for like, you gotta exile like 5 or 6 extra cards with him. But his effect is a replacement effect, so when he removes the counters, he doesn't actually take damage, he just removes counters. The rest of the Bard Queens is one of my favorite planeswalkers. They're +2. You can sacrifice a permanent, and if you do, you draw a card and gain 1 life. Her -3 is you pop target non-land permanent opponent controls with mana value 3 or less. And her -9 is you get an emblem. Whenever your creatures deal damage to an opponent, they lose the game on the spot. Once the triggered ability goes on the stack. Because it is a triggered ability, so you can't stifle it, is what it's called to stop it. Concave Cavalier, this card's pretty good, it's just really hard to cast. It's got Vigilance, it's a 4/4, and then when she perishes, you get 2 2/2s with Vigilance. So it's a good card, it's pretty valuable, but like I said, it's really hard to cast because it's too green and too white. So, Cavalier Gun is the same way, he's 3 white, so it's pretty hard to cast. He's got Vigilance, when he enters play, you can pop a non-land permanent and opponent controls and give him a 3/3 golem. And then when he perishes, he can return artifacts or enchantments from your graveyard to your hand. So, he's pretty clean. Finally, Nova plays in every whitelist. It pops all creatures, it pops all enchantments and artifacts. Choose one and the other, but not both. Judy, when he perishes, you choose 1. He's got flying and menace, but you choose 1. Your target opponent discards 2 cards, loses 2 life. Or you reanimate a non-dragon creature from a graveyard and you lose 2 life. The Cruelty of Gifts, I don't think this card's that great. Target opponent reveals their hand, you can cherry pick this card creature or planeswalker, send it to the graveyard. Then its second effect is a tutor effect, which means you grab a card from your deck, place it in your hand, and lose 3 life. And then its fourth or its last effect is you choose a creature or planeswalker from your yard and you reanimate it, so you bring it back into play. The Alphas Reborn, this card's awesome. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, each opponent discards a card, and then you can pick a creature or planeswalker from either graveyard, put it in play under your control, reanimate it. Wesley O'Regan, he has got flying and ward, discard a card, so if he gets targeted, they have to be able to discard a card, otherwise it fizzles. And then whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you put that many 1/1 counters on him, so he gets 4/4, then eventually he's an 8/8/16. He's a really cool win condition. Twisted Sterix, this is probably the best mutator, period. He mutates for 6, and then whenever he mutates, you count the amount of times that he mutated, and you look at cards from the top of your library until you hit X amount of permanents. And you put all those permanents in play. Iron Scale Hydra, if a creature would deal combat damage to him, instead you prevent that damage and put a 1/1 counter on him. So he just like, he has to be removed. Like, he can't create 2/2 black green wolf creature tokens that whenever they perish, they give a loyalty counter to each Garuk planeswalker, so not just Cursed Husband, any Garuk planeswalker. His -3 is top target creature, draw a card. His -6 is you get an emblem that creatures you control have 3/3 and trample. It just makes everything huge and has trample, so it's kind of a win condition. Vraska Relic Seeker, his +2 makes a 2/2 pirate with menace. So that means it can't be blocked by less than less than 2 creatures. Her -3 pops target artifact, enchantment, or creature, and then you get a treasure token, and your -9. Each opponent's life total becomes 1. Ugin the Ineffable, he makes spirits, he makes a spirit, and you take the top card of your library, place it under the spirit, when the spirit removes or leaves the battlefield, you get the card, and then you can pop colored permanents as long as it's one or more colors. That's not a land. Eerie Ultimatum, you return each permanent from your graveyard, one with each different name, and you replay them all.
First man up is up against Saki, you lose, and they're playing Brudavok the Grandiloquent. He is a mill commander. What mill is you take cards from your deck and send it straight to the graveyard. So it doesn't even touch your hand or nothing like that. You can exile cards too, and that's mill as well. But traditional mill is cards from your deck go straight to your graveyard. And the way that Brudavok wins is he doubles mill. So, there's a lot of mill spells that'll be like, oh, mill half their library. And if Brudavok's out, you double half being double of his whole, so you mill their whole library and lose the game on the spot. They go ahead and play this Vesuvian Shapeshifter dude. He looks at the top card of your library, and he can, like, turn into creatures, basically, is what he does. Except he's, like, a 2/4 with flying if he does that. We go ahead and use Pilfer Against the Fact, Cherry Pick. Look at their hand here. We're thinking, Fleet Swallower, that card's cool. That when it attacks, it mills half your library. Half your opponent's library, not yours, sorry. We look here. We take Jace the Perfected Mind. He's a mill guy. Like, his 2 effects mill is bottom 2. Then he gets, like, a effect that, like, it lowers something's attack by 3. And I think it shuts off their activated abilities. Anyways, they play Sulfurium Void here. So that means that they can scry 1 when it comes into play at the colorless land. They played Midnight Clock here, which is a mana rock for blue. And then it gets midnight counters on it, and then when it hits 12 midnight counters, it sacrifices itself, it shuffles your graveyard back into your library, and you draw 7 cards. Agonizing Remorse here. We're looking, we get rid of Fleet Swallower, because with Brudavok out, all they need to do is attack 1 time with Fleet Swallower, and they win immediately. Go ahead and swing with our Mana Dweeb, deal 2, stay go. They draw a card. Obviously, like you do every turn. Start of the turn lets you have an effect that says you don't. They play a land. So, they play Induce Amnesia. But that card's cool. What it does is that it exiles your opponent's hand, and then they draw cards equal to the cards that they exile with Induce Amnesia, and they stay tucked underneath that card, underneath Induce Amnesia until you get rid of it. So it forces your opponent to swap hands. It's a cool card. We're thinking here. Yeah, I'm commenting on the card. Induce Amnesia is cool. Go ahead and play Rankle Master of Pranks here. He's got haste, so he can deal damage right away. Go ahead and send him. We do the each draw and each discard. So we want the 1 extra damage. You discard first, then you draw. We keep Underrealm Lich for sure. We're thinking We end up tossing Sawtooth Demolisher. Because we want Underground Lich. If we get Underground Lich down, it literally wins us the game because they can't mill us. Because when you draw with an empty library, you lose the game on the spot. But Underground Lich is the fact it's a replacement effect, so you no longer draw cards. You just happen to look at the top of your library. They play the Antiquities of War. They whiff on it, actually, so they miss. They can't grab anything. They fail to find. What Antiquities of War does, it's like first 2 chapters, is you look at your top 5 cards of your library. I think it's top 5. You put an artifact from among them into your hand, and then it turns all artifacts you have into 5/5 creatures. So, it's getting pretty close to the end of the game here. We opt to get rid of the Antiquities of War. This is probably, well, they're probably holding up a counter spell, which they are holding a freeze over. We thought it was a counter spell, we didn't know for sure. Anyways, it's a freeze tap effect, taps down a Rankle, and you can't do anything. We go ahead and swing with our Mana Dweeb, deal 2, Paradise Druid as the 2/1. It's like right here where we lose, I'm pretty sure. It's either this turn or next turn that we lose. They look and see if they get any creatures. They swing. They don't. Because like I said, if we get Underground Lich down, we're good. So, we didn't know that they didn't have a counterspell there. Because if we were able to, like I said, get Underground Lich down, we'd be fine. Because they can't win if Underground Lich is down. Because again, he's a replacement effect, so we technically stopped drawing cards, so we're looking here. Doesn't really matter what we grab a land. So we got a land in hand. So they go ahead and play Torrential Gearhulk. He's a 5/6 with flash. That can recast an instant from your graveyard. They do the freeze tap card again, and it like draws them a card. They go ahead and go on their turn. They're sitting there thinking, and they shimmer a possibility. That allows you to look at the top 4 cards. You pick one of them and you put it into your hand. It's a cool card. It's got really cool art. It's been power crept by Impulse, is the power creep version of it, because it's an instant. It's the same card, it's just an instant. Because Shimmer Possibility is a sorcery, but Shimmer Possibility is way cooler art. Let's be real. It's one of my favorite Magic arts. Right here, we're getting kind of desperate, so we're trying to like jam a few something. We go ahead and play Kaya. They negate it. That makes sense. And then we play Tear Asunder on their Torrential Gearhulk because he is an artifact. Because he's a Gearhulk. So, because like cards can be 2 different super types. Like you can have like artifact creatures or enchantment creatures or whatever. I don't think there's any artifact or enchantment planeswalkers that are considered both, but there's definitely that for creatures. It's actually kind of a strength and a weakness, because Tear Asunder can like get rid of it for 2 mana, because it's an artifact, so it's a strength and a weakness. They keep doing his effect. They keep whiffing on it. Like what that guy does is he looks at the top card of your library, and then he can copy a creature from the top of it. So go ahead and play the Black Source. Hey look, does it change into a creature? Then last turn's not going to do it this turn. We said Rankle their direction. So I think they like bounce them here. Oh no, they Dream Eater. So they beat us by pure damage, because they mill us and they beat us by pure damage in this match. So what Dream Eater does is when he enters play, he surveils 4. He's got a really cool old school animation. But he surveils 4, which means you look at those cards and then you can put them in the graveyard or leave them on the top of your deck, or you can shuffle them around in any order. Like you can take like the 4th and put it at the top and then put the 3rd down at the 4th slot and the 2nd down in the 2nd slot, you know. Like, you can shuffle them around. We go ahead and try to mutate Nethroi here. We're a day late and a dollar short. Like I said, they got flyers and stuff, so. Because we actually get blockers. We develop blockers. They do mill us, though. Because we're trying to get in a position where we can get Underwhelm Lich down. Because if we get Underwhelm Lich down, like, they aren't in a good spot anymore. We play Cavalier Dawn. That might have screwed us over, too. Possibly. Anyways, Midnight Clock cracks, which means its effect goes off. They put their graveyard back into their library and then draw 7 cards. They're looking, thinking. Again, we're like, we would have survived this turn, but then they play Banding Cacophony, which, when they kick it, it mills half of our library. Root back out, it means it mills double our library. So because we were worried about dying from damage, and we lose, it's a good game.
Alright, this start match is a loss again. It's Type 1 Taylor. They're playing Quatora's Khan, which is Boros commander. We start off with a Thriving Moor, declaring it as a black and white, because the Moor is black initially. So, because remember, the Thrivings all have one base color, and then you pick their color. I think they're really good for like 3 colored lists, because you can pick the color you want. They Ragavan, play it for 1 mana. We actually mess up here, because we could have got rid of Ragavan. Or no, we couldn't have. Not this one. That was a different video. They hit us. Start getting the ball rolling. They swipe the card from us. The card, they don't use the card. It's like too high mana cost. We play a tapped land. Because it's like some Sanctum thing that like has like a meld mechanic to it. And it makes like bears or something. They swing, hit us, get another treasure token, swipe a card. Pretty sure they play their commander here. No, they play the Celestis, mana rock up. Cold Steel Heart, yeah, they just mana rock up. Because like I said, that's what makes Ragavan so powerful. He's like just 1 mana ramp, so. He's dealing damage and all that jazz. Play Insatiable Hemophage here as a 3/3. Again, this card's pretty bad. He's just in here because it's Nethroi. Or Nethroi. You can probably get rid of him, though, if you want to go more hard off on, like, not using the mutate stuff. Because if you're not really going too hard on the mutate, probably the only things I'd run is Gem Razor, Auspicious Sterix, and maybe the ramp guy. And I like Boneyard Lurker. He's the 4/4 for 4 that returns a permanent. Go ahead and hit us towards Plowshares. You hate to see that card. Card's ubiquitous and it's dumb. So, they have it every time. We go ahead and play our Mana Dweeb here. We end up popping the Ragavan with Putrefy. We just play it on while they're tapped out, basically, so they can't protect it. Because the Ragavan just keeps accruing them way too much value. We've gotten 3 treasures out of it. They put them really far ahead in the game. It's probably what got us here. Honestly, it's just that Ragavan sticking around. Because if he sticks around like that, he just accrues so much value. You know, ramping and dealing damage. They play Lelia. She exiles cards, and then whenever you exile cards, she gets bigger. She gets 1/1 counters. So she can rampage pretty quick, out of control. Yeah, they're like way ahead of us now. Unfortunately, we don't pull up a land. Because if we could have drawn up a land and maybe played Westvale Regent, we probably would have been fine. But I mean, they're just so far ahead of us. So, our guy not being able to stick around because of their Swords Plowshares, that really screwed us over. Then they play Quintoris, which they don't use any of his abilities. They swing. No blocks. They make the spirit. He makes 3/2 spirits as his plus. Because he used to be like an old spirits guy from Strixhaven. His actual like creature card. We just go ahead and concede here. They're so far ahead of us. It's going on.
Alright, this one is against King Cloud. We actually win this one. This is a long match, so here we go. They're playing Adela Arthur Provocator. She is an enchantment and artifacts commander. She reads. She gives flyers one attack, and she's got a vampire nighthawk stat, so she's a 2/3 with flying, death touch, and lifelink. And whenever you play artifacts or enchantments, you create a 1/1 fairy, which effectively makes them 2/1s because of her anthem effect. They're going to play Cloud Key here, declare an artifact. That makes them cheaper. Makes the artifacts cheaper. We could have flashed this in, but we're like worried about a counter spell, so at least if they're going to remove it, they're at least going to get rid of one of their on-board removals. Because that tool does have flash. Or battery. This is normally called Dirge Bat. I'd maybe play this as well in the mutate list, but it is 6 mana, that's why I don't, like, a lot of the mutators, like, they've just been power crept out of the deck, I feel like, with Nethroi. They're either, like, too weak, like Hemophage, which is actually cheap, but it's just too weak, or they're just, like, too expensive, like Dirge Bat, where they actually give you a good ability, but it's expensive. And then some of the problems with certain other ones, too, like, what's his face, Gem Razor that I just raised up right there. He has 2 green, so he can kind of, like, be a little bit tough to cast in a 3-colored deck, depending on your, like, colors, your mana base and stuff. That's why another thing, too, with 3-colored decks, I would really avoid running colorless lands, like, pretty much at all. Because honestly, like, you're always better off being able to play stuff on curve, versus your land doing some incremental thing that's not even that good anyways. It's either expensive or just like so minimal that it's not even worth it half the time. You're just way better off being able to play an actual real card on curve. So that's something to keep in mind. I keep some of the non-colored lands because they're like, some of them are at least worth it, like draw spell or like draw lands and stuff. Or maybe some of the man lands like Crawling Barrens. It's about the only man land colorless one that I use, but they can be kind of problematic because, like, it just usually screws you over. They go ahead and play Dark Ritual. Then they're thinking, they can't play Alvala yet because their mana is not right colors. They play 2 enchantments. First one is Bitter Blossom. That means once per turn, at the start of their turn, they pay 1 life and they get a 1/1 fairy. And then the second one's that blue enchantment that bounces something. First turn, I can't remember what it is. It's intensive iteration. It returns a spell, I think, or returns an artifact. It's an inventive iteration. I don't know what the last part of it does. I rarely ever see that card, so I'll tell you by the play-by-play what it does. So we got Swords of Plowshares. That's me clicking on and complaining about the card because it's stupid. Honestly, it really is. Like, we play it too because it's good. You have to. You play Karn. This card's pretty cool. Has +1. You look at the top 2 cards. You choose one to give to your opponent, and then the other one, you put a silver counter on it, and he can minus himself to put silver counter cards back into his hand. Okay, yeah, Exile the Saga. Living Breakthrough. Whenever you cast a spell, your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as that spell. Yeah, that's a big plus to Gem Razor too, is that he just reach and trample. That's part of what makes him so good. Yeah, because then when they mutate, the whole daisy chain goes off. So that's the thing with mutate, is basically like playing a Voltron deck. What a Voltron deck is you basically take 1 creature, make it about as strong as humanly possible. We leave the Bitter Blossom behind because we got a flying 4/4 trampler, so it's not really even that big of a deal. I have to get a Bitter Blossom because I never ended up with one of those from Eldraine. It's a mythic rare, so. Because that was a big deal back in its standard back in the day. Bitter Blossom was like one of the first enchantment cards outside like the shrines, I think, that actually like gave you creatures. Because it's back from the old Lorwyn set. So it was when it first showed up. And that was back when a lot of cards were still like somewhat weak. We still had like a little bit of restraints on some cards. It wasn't like cards that we have now where it's like it's doing everything. It's cheap, it's powerful, it's good, like everything about it is good. We just go ahead and hardcast our commander as a 5/5 with Death Touch lifelink. So it's pretty interesting to do that. They have Inchblade Companion on their fairy. And what that does is when you reconfigure it, it gives you another Inchblade Companion. They go ahead and cleansing over the board. Getting rid of all creatures. Swinging for 1. Because like I said, that's what Inchblade Companion does. It's when you configure it. Configure a creature is like, it's like an equipment, artifact equipment, and a creature. And then when you configure it, you just turn it into equipment. So it dodges, it stops being a creature. But yeah, they go ahead and play their commander here. Gain Vampire Nighthawk stats whenever they cast artifacts, they get dudes. Or enchantments. I have to play her sometime. Every time I play her, she just like, the deck doesn't work out as well as I'd like it to. She's a really reasonable commander though. I've always liked her as a commander. Anyways, they deploy 2 artifacts. First one's Arcane Signet, it's a mana rock, and then the second one is Esper Sentinel. That means when we use non-creature spells, the first one we cast each turn, we gotta pay a tax on it, and if we don't, they draw a card. The tax is equivocal to his power. So to get ahead of us with that Bitter Blossom, we go ahead and get a little mana dude where we channel it, because channeling it is like an ability activation, so it's not considered like casting a spell. So remember, you can't counter spell channel abilities, which is really cool actually. You go ahead and configure Inchblade Companion, putting it on Esper Sentinel, so now we have to pay a tax of 2 to stop them from drawing instead of just 1. The same 2 flyers, our directions they go, we draw Snarl. Luckily we conjured up Forest, because Forest, it helps them with the Snarls. Helps us with the Snarls, and it comes into play untapped. We have our Phyrexian Scriptures come down. We make our Grapmon token artifact, so he'll survive the board, right? And we make it a 4/4. Because the first chapter is put a 1/1 counter on a creature, make it an artifact, and yeah, it'll survive the board, right? They go ahead and play Tezzeret here. The board rate's not going to hurt them too much. They go ahead and use the draw ability of Tezzeret, which reads, draw a card, and then if you have, I think it's 3 or more artifacts, you draw 2 instead. He's a really cool planeswalker. He's not super duper strong, but he's really tame. He's a really fun card. They play Anointed Profane Procession here. That card's really cool. It can exile creatures, and you can recast the creatures it exiles. It's a really fun card. Go ahead and play the Forest here. Play Vivian. We go ahead and pay the tax, so they can't get us. And draw a card. We go ahead and get rid of the Profane Procession. Because like I said, Profane Procession it's an old school card, but it's a goodie. It's a really bit of goodie. Go ahead and Broken Wings it with Vivian's -3. Leaving her vulnerable to perish. But we're trying to get cracked through and get through that Tezzeret, because his ultimate's really strong. He gets a planar bridge effect, which once he uses his ult, you can dig out, I think it's permanents. It might either just be artifacts or permanents. You can dig them straight out of your deck and play them for free during your turn. Like, once per turn. I think it's at the beginning of your upkeep. It says it right there on the screen, but that's what it does. So it's really cool. And you can make Thopter tokens, which is a 1/1 flying artifact. So he satisfies his own conditions on his draws cards and stuff. They go ahead and take out our Vivian with the Esper Sentinel. We pull really lucky here by getting Casualties of War. Because this is where we can do the 5-piece of Casualties of War. This is when it's like one of the strongest cards in the game. One of the strongest single target removals in the game. single targeting removal, rather. You target an artifact, target a creature, target an enchantment, target a land, and target a planeswalker. We got a 5-piece out of this. So go ahead and draw your card. I think we can pay for it. Yeah, we do. Boom. 5 for 1. That's when that card's the best. Roll 5 for 1. You love to see it. Especially on Casualties of War. They keep standing off our 4-4 because we got rid of the Bitter Blossom finally, so they're not making dudes anymore. Because Casualties of War allows you to pick one of each card type that's not an instant or sorcery and annihilate it. So it's a good card. It's really fun. It's like one of the better reasons to run Golgari, which is green and black. It's Casualties of War. It's old school, but it's old school rare. You want to pick it up from War of the Spark. You definitely probably want to pick it up because it's really, really good. We're thinking here, we can't mutate our commander yet. We don't have enough mana. Because it starts like, because the mutate cost reflects from the commander tax too. Commander tax is the more times you play your commander from the command zone, you have to go ahead and axe their Adeline, popping it, and you draw a card. The more you have to play your commander from the command zone, it costs 2 each time, an extra 2, and that counts towards mutate too. So if like we play our commander and it gets removed and we put it back in our command zone, the mutate then costs 9 or 11 because it starts out at 7. So they play a land. They play the one goofy looking guy. He draws cards if you have like the highest costed artifact. Council of Innovation or whatever. He has a really big head. He's really goofy looking, but he's kind of funny. He's a 1/4. He's decent. He's like 3 mana too. It's actually a pretty good card for artifact decks. You go ahead and take out our Garroot by starting with 2 1/1s. Then go ahead and reconfigure the Inchblade Companion, making him a 2/5 so he can stave off our Hydro Token so we kind of just hang back. We drew Cleansing Nova, but we don't have enough lands, white sources to play it, so go ahead and play Ugin here. We're just going to start manifesting the spirits. This is what his effect is called. When he makes a 2/2 and then you take the top part of your deck. It's called manifesting, and that's what it's actually called. His old cards have a manifest mechanic, there's a set mechanic. That's what his +1 is, it's manifest. You go ahead and Soul Transfer, or whatever, or Ugin, which that means like you can exile target creature or planeswalker. And I think you can discard a card and copy it or something. It might be the Kamigawa one that's actually a physical card, so physical cards don't do that. We have Tezzeret down here. This Tezzeret Master of the Bridge, this guy's cool. His +2, he zaps you for every single artifact that you own, and you gain that much life and cause your opponent to lose that much life. So he's good. They just like don't use him for some reason. Because they're actually starting to get way ahead of us. Because they have about at least like 3 to 4 artifacts over there. They can start +2ing, start winning the race. So, I think they just step away because of life. But yeah, because they're like actually in a winning position. Because Tezzeret, he's a really cool commander. And then like his minus, you look at the top, I think it's 5 or 6 cards in your library. And you can put artifacts you find from among them in your hand. You can put multiple artifacts, I'm pretty sure. And then his minus is like his ultimate, and which one's like all artifacts from your graveyard, or either your graveyard or all graveyards to the battlefield. So, which is pretty cool. Looks like they came back. They play a Platoon Dispenser. They're sitting there thinking. Because they are thinking. I think they're trying to pay out all their artifacts first. And then they're going to go ahead and, I'm pretty sure they laser us with Tezzeret. I'm not sure what they're going to do here. We're waiting. See what they do. Because this is a win. This is, we did win this somehow. Oh, they quit. Alright, that was a life quit. They're definitely ahead of us. So good game. Thanks for playing.
Alright, so this is my plug. So thank you for your time. I thank you for watching throughout the entire video. Consider copying the links or whatever, and y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.